Thing about Mother, I've seen Iggy just keeps pushing. We've talked about this coin before. Like, good for her. She is dedicated.
I am really surprised she stuck around.
Yeah, she's one of us. She's a builder.
Yeah, I think she's going. Do you see that tweet where she said she's going insane? You guys, one day to the moon, next day it's all over.
Yeah, we shared that, I think, last week.
I just don't know who the target audience is because like if she had a cooler name for it, but Mother is like, you know, everyone's like, my mom is lame. You know, you got this like teenager boys trying to gamble on this. Like,
Want a
what is
mommy?
exactly? I don't get it. What is the
They want a
Mother?
mommy. People want a mommy. That's what they want.
But it could be called Mommy. Mommy would be better than Mother. Welcome to Steady Lads. Ike's pumped up.
Yo,
Yo, we have Icebergy with us. Icebergy, good to have you on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I mean, it's summer, it's supposed to be quiet, but after last week's panic, this week we also have a bunch of drama, it looks like, and some people are losing their minds trying to trade or just watch these markets. The weird thing is, we were just commenting, stocks are doing really well. It's been a bit of a V-shaped recovery for stocks back to all-time high. Maybe we can look at NASDAQ here, but macro is looking in that possible Goldilocks situation for a little bit where it's not bad enough to be a recession, but it's kind of cooling off enough that they'll be able to cut rates. And that's exactly what stocks are looking for and gold is looking for. So I think that's what we're seeing right now with NASDAQ kind of starting to have a very good day again.
I think stocks are in like a pretty good place where inflation's come down enough, and the only thing that worries me is the spread between like where inflation is right now and like where the Fed is. It's starting to get pretty tight. Like historically, the spread between inflation and like the short-term Fed rate. So they have like a lot of room to like come down. I just don't know when or like how fast they do it.
Well, it looks like we're going to get a cut in September. I think if nothing crazy happens until then, it'll be 25 bips. And if we have another panic crash, then they'll probably just do 50. So it's a start. We'll see how many rate cuts we get. But generally, like I said, macro is kind of in a good spot. Unfortunately, crypto's had an up and down, choppy week.
Why do you think crypto has like such a like all summer it's been lagging? What's like, and we've seen so many like inflows to the ETF. Like, where's like the disconnect? Or like, I feel like with all the inflows, price should be higher. I checked the carry trade. There is some open interest, but it's not like as much money is flown into the ETFs.
I'd like to add on that too. I'm curious if you guys think in some ways crypto is more responsive to things that are happening in the news cycle and also like more forward looking than the markets, just because it's more receptive to liquidity changes. Because one thing I'm wondering is like, it's not as though Bitcoin has performed poorly, right? Like if you look at where it bottomed, it's obviously, bottoming at 15K, going all the way up to 70K, clearly outperforms the NASDAQ. And now it's sort of cooling off a bit. And I'm wondering if there's possibly some signal there where like Bitcoin is like a very viable indicator for what we should expect to happen in the near term. If the market is seeing a slowing down coming, maybe the Harris administration is getting priced in as a potential winner now. If you guys think that could be playing a part too.
I think part of the reason why the vibes, at least on crypto Twitter, has been so bad is that it's not that Bitcoin isn't doing poorly. It's just that everything else is not performing to par. I think everyone in crypto longs, or everyone has that nostalgia for the alt season we saw in 2020 and 2021, and we keep thinking it's going to happen at some point because Bitcoin keeps going higher, but it's just like not happening. And then we have all these desperation, I guess, attempts by KOLs to pump meme coins and have like PvP, I guess like narratives like Sui, I guess, like Total 3. I guess this chart is Total 3 divided by Bitcoin. It's just that all the flows are going to Bitcoin and there's not enough retail. There's not enough new inflows to pump anything else.
That's quite a chart there. We've finally had a bit of a reckoning with altcoins where there's finally too many options, too dispersed. The cliques and the gangs are not that many people because everyone's choosing different things, and there's not like new retail compared to the amount of onboarding we had last cycle, where like Binance was onboarding 30,000 accounts a day. I think it's like single digit thousands. But as to like Bitcoin specifically, it does seem that there's some signal, but I wouldn't say it's what Justin hints at, which is that Bitcoin is like smarter than the market and is already trying to show what direction it's going. There are unfortunately still too many sellers, and the market is too small. And when I say too many sellers, I mean like these massive idiosyncratic sells that we've been waiting for to happen have finally started all happening at the same time. Crazy that an asset that we talk about every day and is so important for the future can get so influenced by single entities. But unfortunately, it does seem to be the case that somebody wants to sell $1 billion of Bitcoin or $2 billion, either the German government or we talked about Jump last time, or now it looks like it's the U.S. government.
That must make you more bullish than ever, right? In some ways. I mean, that selling is finite. We're still doing quite well given all that selling. And at some point, that sell pressure is gone, right?
Yeah, it's gone. I mean, the coins get dispersed to new holders who will eventually sell, but they'll be looking to sell higher because their price point of entry is higher versus, a government that just took them for free from some criminals. Right now, it's a waiting game. Like you said, you have to get through this. There have been some trading games back and forth. I think there's a Binance whale that is now being followed by the entire market. Their execution style, let's say, is not very subtle. So they're doing big limit orders and just showing the book how much they want to execute, which is unusual. There is a trading philosophy that espouses this type of execution where you just layer the book with 500 Bitcoin at a time. Sometimes he's doing 1,000 Bitcoin, showing the market that you are going to fill, 10,000 Bitcoin, kind of pushing it away from you, maybe like reducing your entry average price, making it worse. There's two options, right? Like either this Binance whale is just really bad at execution and they don't know how to do a TWAP, or they are purposely trying to be notorious and scare people and be like, oh no, the Binance whale who always wins is going short, therefore we should follow the smart whale. And that might be a little bit of what's happening.
The terminology is called spoofing, right? And you're not saying that they are spoofing, but that's
not
one
spoofing.
Potential. Oh, not spoofing.
No, they get filled. So spoofing is when you're not trying to get filled and you just like show the order and you cancel it. You don't intend to get filled. This guy leaves it, gets filled, fills 10,000 Bitcoin in the most non-subtle way. There seems to be a lot of inside information, possibly because the latest tranche of 10,000 Bitcoin was sold just as like everything was fine. We were at 61K and he sold it quickly off to 59K. And then right after he finishes, like 10 minutes later, we get this on-chain transfer from Coinbase custody. That can't be a coincidence.
And this is hundreds of millions of dollars of sell pressure. So 10,000 Bitcoin, $600 million. That's wild.
Yeah. It is interesting. It's not enough to destroy the market. It moves it down 2K quickly. I'm not sure how this guy is going to execute out of it if the market is doing well on the macro side, as it continues to do. As soon as these TWAPs on Coinbase end, he's going to have to cover 10,000 Bitcoin. And now everyone's onto him. Like people know that he has to cover 10,000 Bitcoin. So there's a forced buyer of 10,000 Bitcoin. This is kind of bullish, actually. You have to be very careful with your timing because if you go too soon while the government's still executing TWAPs, then you're going to have a drawdown. But at some point, he has to cover back. And I'm a bit surprised that...
So these are all leverage trades. It's not spot?
Yeah, this is on the perps. This is on the Binance perp.
Do you think Sailor started as TWAP yet?
Obviously not. There's no way.
Well, people thought that push up like earlier last week or something was him, but I don't know. I think everyone just defaults to it's Sailor every time. But yeah, I forgot that he was going to buy like 2 billion more. Hopefully time's a little bit better.
Has he secured the funding for that yet? I think it might take some time.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen. I don't know. He put that announcement out and people just assumed it was going to start like tomorrow.
Bottom line, I think with gold doing well and stocks doing well, these idiosyncratic sellers have to run out at some point, and then there will be some short covering that has to happen.
It's like that meme. It's like sellers are almost out of coins, but there's always sellers. Everything crypto, it feels like there's always new sellers that come out of nowhere.
It's always just a couple more liquidations.
A couple more liquidations than up only.
What's this photo here, Jordan?
Yeah, I mean, this is how people are feeling right now. They're watching S&P 500 and Nasdaq crushing, and yeah, it's can pump right here. So
Do you want to pull up the Icebergy tweet of the I guess the Binance coins, and I guess Bergie's theses around, I guess, never fully recovering from FTX? Can you just talk about that, Bergie?
I saw this get posted. Like Kobe put out that thing where he said like 2019 echo bubble. I've seen a bunch of people like talk about that like throughout the year because like in 2019 Bitcoin was the only thing that kind of went up besides like the Binance IEOs. But like this time the cycle's been sold Bitcoin. That's kind of it. I don't know. It's the whole theory that we like haven't really recovered from FTX is the market kind of like recovered pretty fast like post FTX, and I don't you remember like everyone saying like 12k 12k 12k, and like everyone thought we were going to go lower. So and then we had like that banking crisis where people were like, yeah, it's over for Bitcoin. This was the echo bubble top. I just don't know if people like really ever allocated until like it was too late. And I think that's like part of like the desperation you've seen like with the meme coins and like people like fighting for their lives in like the trenches. I think you saw a lot of like valuations blow up in like Q1 of this year because I don't think a lot of like the venture funds, VCs were like really funding deals in like post FTX. I think it took a really long time. So they like they blew out valuations and stuff, and just kind of like no one ended up winning except for like team founders. Like there wasn't enough money in the ecosystem post FTX to like support like multi-billion-dollar valuations for all this stuff. And just like everyone decided to launch at the same time and money was thin. Yeah, everyone just went with the safe bets of like Bitcoin Soul.
Yeah, and I guess speaking of project founders winning, we had like the EigenLayer news. Or maybe this wasn't really news. People might have like known about this in the past, but I think CoinDesk or someone came up with this article around how EigenLayer made all their team wallet addresses public so that LRTs and other projects that want to be EigenLayer aligned would airdrop more tokens to EigenLayer team members, right? And if we see Sriram here, looking very, very happy. What do you guys think about stuff like this?
The way you explain it, it's at least good that these addresses are public, right? I mean, you can only imagine how much happens behind the scenes when all of these addresses aren't public, right? I don't know. I'm pretty mixed on it. I mean, we also see a lot of large projects donating to the Protocol Guild, supporting like ETH core developers, which in some ways is similar, right? Like if you think EigenLayer is going to be a core layer of infrastructure in the future, supporting those developers and having them aligned with your project makes sense. But everything I've seen suggests this is a little bit shady, but I think this is probably just the tip of the iceberg or the tip of the icebergy.
Tip of the icebergy. Yeah. And maybe this is like one example of people just wanting to be angry. So they just, it's really easy to pick EigenLayer as, like blame EigenLayer for, not launching or whatever. People are just angry and they just want a reason to be angry, and I think that's kind of what's happening on Twitter.
I just don't know why someone didn't say like maybe this isn't a great idea. Things leak in crypto. I just don't know why someone didn't say like maybe we shouldn't do this. Maybe they did. We don't really have the full story, but after everything like he's been through like the past like year, it's just like tiring.
Yeah, have you guys seen EigenLayer? The perp on Avo getting a pre-market price for this thing went all the way up to almost $13 and is now basically down like 75% to $3.80. It is pretty striking to see this sort of, I'm not going to say fall from grace because EigenLayer is still worth, I believe at this price, $5 billion FDV. So it's still like incredible value creation, but certainly a fall from grace from the standpoint of being like EigenLayer was ETH's savior, the future of ETH. Everyone was deposited, everyone was farming, to now sort of trickling down. And I think there is like a common pattern here. Projects that delay their token or keep it locked for a while, they sometimes miss the moment for good, right? Like we've seen a lot of projects that have sort of like not launched the token till too late and just faded out because of that.
It might be better than a bunch of people just losing. It's like UPNL, like it's not real money to them yet. So it's probably better than, I mean, I'm sure it probably would have launched at a crazy valuation if they did it in May and then just would have went down only. And
the path is the same, you're saying, basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
You guys are talking about the same thing, but from like different angles. Yeah. Like one talking about the founder. Yeah. Justin's the founder here is like trying to cash out money. He's like, they missed their chance, man. They could have like done it at the top. You got like Icebergy's like, retail would have like bag held down. I mean,
Yeah.
So they were forced to bag hold down.
I still think people like don't really understand EigenLayer yet too. So I don't know. I think it's probably good that it's not out yet.
it is good. And like the other thing that they don't understand is how difficult it is to replicate. And usually what I've always said is over time, the difficulty of doing something will show in the price. So if someone is doing something relatively simple and you can just copy it, it will get diluted because other people are going to do it. And if it's got a 5 billion valuation, everyone's going to rush to do it. So EigenLayer is one where it looks complicated and probably is, like the way they've designed it, but people have learned from the mistakes, right? And they've started to implement something which is quite similar.
Yeah, but I guess in terms of one application that has been successful, maybe we can talk about Polymarket and a lot of betting that's been going on. I think there was like the Twitter Spaces between Elon and Trump, and people were betting on what they're going to talk about. I think a lot of people think that Polymarket's just an election phenomenon, and volumes are going to taper off after the election. But what do you guys think? Like, do you think people will still continue betting on like random things that's going to happen in the world? Do you think they can maintain their volume? Do you have thoughts on that, Bergie?
Yeah, I think I don't know if you guys watched the Elon Trump Twitter space, but I was just reading the Twitter feed and everyone's like, please say Tesla, and Trump just kept saying like electric car, and then it was like an hour in and tampon was like a 7% chance of hitting. And then he just said tampon out of nowhere. And like all of my Twitter feed was like, he said it. And everyone was like super excited. I think that kind of changed my mind. I was kind of like, I think post the election, the TVL and like interests are going to like slow down. But I think if you have like fun events that people just want to bet on, like betting on like tampon being said at a conference, it's kind of fun.
Yeah, I mean, to date, like the majority of their volume has been political, like north of $1 billion on the election here. Kamala Harris is now 10% ahead of Trump. And Polymarket has tried a lot of other things with sports. I do think now they've grown to the point that like when football season in the US comes back around, that's a very like high activity gambling season.
I think the reason, it didn't work before is just they just didn't have like the books weren't thick enough for like actually taking like bets on some of the stuff. Like now you can actually have all these markets and people are like paying attention.
Super Bowl champion for next year already has $7 million bet on it. I think they can kind of move this election gambling aspect more towards sports and ride that wave during US football season. There's a lot of activity there and then go from there. They certainly have product market fit though, to your guys' point earlier, and like the crypto speculation game, whether it's crypto people speculating on what Trump's going to say during the spaces or literally just like all-time high bets on betting when Ethereum's going to have the next all-time high. You can see $1 million bet here alone, which is pretty interesting. So I think they'll make it. I do think the election is obviously going to be the biggest use case for this thing though for a while.
Just imagine if I'm not sure if they'll ever do a token, but if they did do a token and they do liquidity money incentive for betting on things, I feel like that would maybe revitalize some form of on-chain summer, right? That people have been longing for the past couple of years. That would be insane.
Yeah, what's interesting is they do have liquidity mining with USDC, but the incentives are effectively like peanuts relative to the betting size. So they'll have $500 of USDC incentives around the spot price, but it's pretty trivial, the incentives they're doing now.
So one other update we have is the trading competition. So as we said on the first week, we had Suzu liquidate Thicky on a WorldCoin trade, which, Thicky was correct. WorldCoin now, I just looked, is at $1.40, and the short he put it on at like $2.20 or something, and it ran up to $3. He was right in the end. So just unfortunately, these competitions, when you have this many aggressive traders, you got to swing for the fences. And a lot of us along the way were getting liquidated or almost liquidated on these like crazy moves. So this was kind of going into the last week. This was week 3. There were 4 weeks, and it's a Grand Prix style. So I had a little bit of a lead, but not many chips left at this point. So.
I love how you're minus 93% in your first place.
Yeah. So the way that this worked was you get points for every week. The first week I was up from 10 to 14K, and the next one from 14 to 18. So I was doing really well. And then the third week, just kind of went minus on the drawdown to like 1K. Yeah.
What was the trade, if you don't mind me asking, that took you up and also down?
Yeah, so everybody was the right way to do these competitions is not to like trade to try to make P&L. That's like completely the wrong way. And I think CL did that and didn't get any prize, even though he was like green. The right way to trade is to look at like the people that are winning and try to just get on top of them, get more points in them. So Suzu was winning the first week and he was long. So you have to kind of keep up with him, but if he's going to get liquidated, you need to jump off the ship before him, like this kind of like tactic. So he got liquidated week 2. Actually, I think week 3, and DeFi squared week 2, and Thicky week 1. So every week you just kind of have to beat the top guy and survive. So that was my strategy. And coming into the last week, I needed a 3rd place. And coming into like the last day and last hour, a lot of people were kind of sitting on their hands and waiting for the last minute to trade. And we see here, like I was 3rd, so I was okay. I was going to get enough points to secure a victory. And in the last hour, people just like went 50x leverage, and it was just like crazy. And unfortunately for me, like I ended up getting 4th. Like there was a Rhino who came out of nowhere and snatched it by, I guess like he 50x ETH or something during an upswing. So it was interesting. It came down to the last minute. It was probabilistic at the end. Like, you know, every minute it was changing who was doing it. But congrats to Rhino for squeaking it out. And, you know, I have to say, like, it was super fun. But the one annoying thing is, like, the comments just think that everyone's a bad trader because they're negative. They don't understand, like, the dynamic of trying to get more points than other people and, like, the relative ranking. So if you look down,
replies
it's like,
are hilarious. Yeah.
yeah, it's like, oh, everyone's down. Like, influencers suck. Let me in. You know, like, I can show these LARPs how to trade.
Well, what's the prize, Jordan?
The prize, so first was 100K, and second was 50K, and third was 25K. So compared to the chips that we got, because you're trading with $10,000, that's how much they give you to start with. The prize is like 10 times bigger. So you should not really like trade your chips as real money. You should trade them as, you know, a way to get points and try to get the 100K.
Yeah, I think Rhino took his 100K, went to Vegas, and I think he was like just gambling with it. What are you going to do with your 50K, Jordy? Are you going to buy our bags, or like what you going to do there?
I've got a great token for you to buy.
Yeah, got an 100x meme coin.
Yeah,
it feels like those cheap. Those tweets where someone's like, "I got some cash burning in my pocket. Show me a meme coin, I'm gonna buy it," and then you just go like engagement farming. All right, Fergie, what's engage my farming? What do you got?
I don't know. I put out a tweet thinking like you get like there's got to be something out there that's cheap, you know? Like everyone's so jaded as like written off the space. There's got to be something out there that like is like a screaming buy. I put out a tweet like someone said like you could buy punks at like $30 in like 2019, and I was like, all right, what themes or like tickers could you get? And all my replies were just meme coins. I was like, well, that didn't work out.
Justin, can you pull up my screen? I think Bergie talked about, you know, what's value now that's like akin to buying punks, you know, in 2019. But like, look at this NFT chart. Like, this is insane. It's crazy how everyone thought this was like the future of finance, and now there's
Can you zoom in on the picture so we can see the values?
Dude, if you pull up the punk chart now and like ETH, it looks like it like fully like retraced like the entire move. It's pretty wild.
Yeah, even if you zoom in, it's basically zero. Like this is they need to put this in log chart, I think, but it's really crazy how things fall off. Like really,
you don't even see people like trying to launch new NFT projects, which I think is kind of interesting. It's just like everyone gave up.
Yeah, Bergie, like you were big into NFTs, right?
Yeah, I really liked them because like that summer, like NFT summer, you could just like buy a bunch of stuff for like a couple of ETH, and you like hit some like massive like bangers. But it was always like fun, like discovering like the hot contracts people were minting from, what it was, who's like built it. It was like a fun game of like cat and mouse of like trying to find like the new NFT launches. I think it kind of went all to meme coins just because it's more liquid, easier to trade. But
well, there have been some NFT launches, isn't that right?
There's some on base that are interesting.
Yeah,
Oh,
I can I
Puff
can
and Mantle.
I
Huh?
can think of at least one. So this is cool now. You can take a 3D image and with AI you can, have it move around. So we have these puff NFTs now that are pretty cool, like they're 3D images. And people have been, if you look at the account, there's a few other ones as well. It makes it much more like personal and real. Like the guy is giving you a little bit of personality.
Did you end up acquiring the puff that was made in my honor and in my image and likeness?
I haven't found the one with the glasses, but yeah, I mean, it is interesting, like launching NFTs, like we talked about a couple of weeks ago when we did the initial mint. There is like fervor, like so many like hundreds of people just showed up in the Discord that were like nowhere to be seen on the day of the mint and just like spamming, "Where is it? Let's go!" Like it's 5 minutes late. Oh my God, that like the legendaries are sold out. Like they're so angry. I want to get a legendary. It still has like traces of potential. And with the puff specific ones, because there is like a token ingrained in it, like it will vest a token, there is a utility to it. Like you're actually buying a pre-market token in essence, plus you get like the NFT. So I don't think NFTs as a concept are dead. And I think having a personalized one that you can trade or choose is much better than just a meme coin, despite the liquidity. Especially if you just have, floors and like legendary floors where people trade them around the same price. So we have had decent volume on these and definitely a lot of, at least during the minting, a lot of excitement. So maybe NFT is not totally dead. We've seen like some of the existing projects obviously try to do stuff. We have like Pudgies who is going retail, real life toys. They're going like L2. They're going potentially going to make a Pudgy coin. I don't know if that's true or not, but I heard some rumors that there might be a meme coin after the collection, which kind of combines the two worlds. Have you had anything like that? I guess like Milady's had some associated meme coins.
Yeah, that cult coin that they launched. And then they had those inflatable thing they had on a bonding curve. Not inflatable, but stuffed animal thing. I think the Pudgy thing is interesting because like they're launching a layer 2 when it's like super out of favor. So just
They're
really
actually
curious.
doing that?
Yeah.
I invested. Like, they better do it. I'm all in now.
You're all in.
Abstract. It's called Abstract. Yeah.
It just takes a lot of conviction to like take that bet, especially when you already have like a decent brand. Pretty curious how that all plays out. And like Luca's a pretty good builder, so curious what like approach that he like takes to like drive people there.
The L2 game is still ongoing. I think people are still trying. WorldCoin is going to make an L2, I think, just for their token, basically, because Optimism mainnet is basically just their token right now, so they might as well do their own chain. Base has shown that if you have a good number of clients, it can be a good idea. So I heard Robinhood might do an L2 as well, is the rumor.
Wow.
Yeah, there's rumors like BlackRock's going to do an L2 as well, which I don't know how real that is, but I wouldn't be that surprised.
Yeah, that might be a bit further out, but the Robinhood stuff is pretty. He went on Bankless the other day, and he got asked about it, and he didn't deny it. He's kind of just.
So do you think these larger institutions are like believing in the L2 thesis more than maybe us crypto natives are, or what the sentiment is on Twitter at least?
I don't know that they're believing in the thesis. I think they just want a chain. And then when you look at the options, you make some like random Cosmos L1 thing, whatever, or you do an L2 and you're kind of tied into the infrastructure. It's a lot easier and cheaper to run nowadays. Makes sense. I think, we'll talk about this next week when we have Kane on, and I think it's one of the main topics because he's been so critical of ETH after being such a big supporter of ETH. So maybe we'll bring the topic up there, but something has to be done with the user experience, and hopefully we get there. Yeah. But NFTs wise, just to wrap up there, I saw Doodles is still kicking and going, and they're releasing some locked up content that you need the NFT to unlock, and they're doing movies and like I guess like Pharrell is doing some music as well. So that's quite interesting. I think that relationship of having a community around content and having an NFT around it makes a lot of sense. So we'll see how that goes.
I think they're just fun to like collect. Like over the years, you have a wallet with like a bunch of just random pictures you have. It kind of is like fun. I just don't know. I always like wonder like
What's the most you've lost on an NFT?
I bought a bunch of the C hams for like 10 ETH. And yeah, those didn't do too great.
What are they at now? Is it like one, or what is it at? What's the
Probably
CHAM
under
at?
one.
How did it go down so much?
It was like the art blocks. They were like an art blocks, like cult kind of thing, and they were just funny, ugly, and I bought the top. I like taking like I liked buying like NFTs under like 1 ETH because like the upside is really high, your downside's whatever you spent on it. So I didn't really most of the time when I like minted something rare, I just sell it because I was like, I don't really think this picture should be worth like 80K. It doesn't really make sense to me. Like the art block stuff was really fun. Like, oh wow, C hams are maybe that's a different C ham, half 0.05 ETH.
Maybe bring the chart back up, Justin. It was interesting to look at some of these collections, and we have
I
someone
haven't seen these in
I've
so
in
also
the trenches. Yeah.
so interested in how like these things all become super cringe after long enough time, right? Like all of your collections, they start out as like undiscovered, then they get a little bit of hype, then they become like the hot new thing, then they become mainstream, and then they become cringe. They all sort of seem to follow that pattern. The one that really hasn't is CryptoPunks, in my opinion.
Can you sort these by market cap? Okay.
I haven't even like looked at NFT sites in a really long time.
Me neither.
Me either.
Comparing this to meme coins, like these are small. Like the number one collection, like iconic, everybody knows it. CryptoPunks, which is the Doge coin of NFTs at 500 million. Much below the billions of.
But I think that this, for reference, this treats everything as a floor. I think they're just multiplying the floor price by the total supply. So 21.8 ETH times 10,000 is 217. Because remember, there's those aliens that go for 20 mil, but it's still pretty close, right? It's within an order of magnitude.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, and that's a good point because I saw recently people discussing about where the market is moving towards in punks, and there's the concept of a clean punk. The clean punks are the ones that you're kind of like proud to have as a profile picture because there's nothing weird on them and they can actually like represent a real person. There's no like weird blotches or whatever. And apparently like clean punks are going for double the floor plus. We used to think that it was going to be based on, I think V1 was rarity. People looked at the rarity of certain traits and they thought that the more rare, it would be more expensive. That has mostly turned out to be false, apart from, a couple of extremely rare, like aliens, for example. For most things, it's less about the rarity. It's ended up being like, how cool does this look? Is it 3D glasses? Is it a hoodie? Like, these are cool things that we want to associate with. Some of the more like minority ones, like women, have not had as high of a floor, probably just because, if somebody wants to make it their identity, they want their own one, unless we can talk to Kane about this. I think some of them, there was a period where was it like the white-haired girls were like super popular?
Those were like the DeFi founders, yeah.
Yeah, Hayden had that. Leshner, I think, had one. It was pretty
Santiago, I think.
Yeah.
I missed that. I missed that like optimistic like delusion around like NFTs. It just was fun. It was really fun. But
it was.
Yeah. Bergie, Justin, like you two were pretty involved in the NFT scene. Like is there a price at which you would scoop some of these NFTs? I mean, I feel like there has to be some value here, right? Like somewhere.
I think you have a lot of time before, like the market, it'll be pretty obvious if it does, or else you're kind of just like stepping in front of a train of like dying interest. But if it does come back, it'll be fast, I think.
Let's quickly go through here. So we have CryptoPunks, OG. We have Bored Apes. I would say that was the, the hot girl during high school. It's not high school anymore, but like people still put some, like you want to show off that you could still go out with the hot girl from prom. It feels that way. It's not as popular with celebrities obviously anymore. We have Pudgies, which has a leadership now that is doing some, novel stuff, and probably is one of my favorite projects. I have a Pudgy. Azuki, surprised it's doing okay compared to, given all the FUD they had with a remint collection, which ended up
Yeah.
being
The same feature.
disastrous. Surprised it's like still at,
Yeah.
under 10 million. And Miladies, which is a cult coin, I think no surprise there. Cults will generally have like a core that just always going to hold. Mutant Apes, which is I guess it's always been like a 10% of a bored ape. And then we have some of these. This is where it gets interesting. So we have a couple of the Bitcoin ones, right? Like Node Monkeys and Bitcoin Puppets, which I have a feeling like they're down a lot from their highs, because I feel like these have been a lot
I feel
higher at some point.
like Quantum Cat should be worth more, I feel.
I think it was, I went to one of the conferences, maybe it was Eat Denver, and everyone could not stop talking about ordinals. And then,
Yeah.
just like since the runes came out, like people just kind of stopped talking about it. I think the puppets are funny, but
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I don't really even know, outside of like the top 3 collections of NFTs, I don't even know what I would buy.
I think you buy a CryptoPunk maybe.
Yeah.
Pudgy.
If you're gonna buy one, you should get the punk, right? Like, a Bored Ape is cringe. I mean, I don't think they can ever recover from that. Pudgy, it's sort of played out, right? Well, I don't know. Depends who you ask, I guess. Azuki, dead.
So Mad Lads is around 6.5K. That's one that is leading Solana. There's not much else NFT culture in Solana right now, so surprised that's not higher given that the chain itself is doing better. So that one is kind of interesting.
That was always weird to me, that the NFT trading on Solana like never came back to just the meme coins.
Right, because it really started there. Like that's where you could just do all these flipping cheap and minting cheap and everything
Yeah,
cheap.
that's how they created like the Solana cult. Like everyone was like minting all those NFTs. Do you remember that fund that bought the Solana CryptoPunks for like $500,000?
Yeah, I remember that.
So funny. Well,
Do
I
you
can
guys
find
remember
it.
these like high brow art collections, art blocks dropped? Like Ringers was one of them, and then there was
Duck.
another one too.
Yeah, the
By Tyler Hobbs was the collection.
the twisty ones.
Yeah, Fidenza.
Squiggles.
Fidenzas.
Oh, yeah.
Fidenzas.
Well, Squiggles, yes, but Fidenza.
Fidenzas. I mean, these still must be expensive. I've
Yeah.
never seen it. Yeah, look at this. Like, they're still like worth a lot.
They are
These, like,
pretty.
couple hundred ETH. Weren't they couple hundred
They're
ETH in one cycle?
beautiful.
They went to like 200 or something.
Yeah, I mean, generative art's really cool. I generally like it.
I think
It's just
Fidenzas is what cost people a lot of money last cycle, because they do look amazing, and they kind of convinced a lot of normal people that this is like normal art. Like, this is real art. You
Yeah.
just buy the picture, and it did convince them. I don't own a Fidenza. It is the one NFT that just for
You
old
could
time's
hang this
sake,
up, right? I mean, I would display this. They're
Absolutely.
beautiful. Yeah.
yeah.
Absolutely.
I wanna get your guys' take on if you guys remember. For me, this was the craziest top signal ever. I missed it, so it's a little, I felt bad when I missed it. But now, of course, like the price is zero. Do you guys remember Loot? When everyone
Yeah.
thought Loot could be like the base layer for an RPG game on chain, and like if you had a Loot bag, you would have your quarterstaff, your leather armor of power. I mean, these things were going like crazy back in the day.
The
I still
VCs
have-
were buying these bags.
Yeah.
I have PTSD for missing this. A lot of I know a couple people who made like 8 figures on it, and yeah, I just didn't read the group chat at the right time and totally missed it. I missed that optimism though, It was fun. Even though it was like completely delusional, I felt like
It's
a lot
really
more
representative of, it's representative of crypto overall, that you have things that are just completely raw. There's a lot of theoretical potential. Like, yes, if everybody in the world decides to start making games and stacking things on top and making experiences on top of this, completely like nothing product, then yes, like it could be everything we're dreaming of in the sky and the clouds and the castles are getting built. But it is just such a great representation of all of crypto, right? Because you could say that about so many things in the space that just get so hyped based on equivalent to a list of words.
But like now that we are all sober and like are far away from this, like just think about the level of like misapplied thinking you have to get to from like we have this list of text to it's worth millions of dollars, right? Like you have to assume that someone's going to build a AAA game that actually has real life product market fit on the scale of like a World of Warcraft or like Modern Warfare, like Call of Duty games. They're going to use this, and then somehow like you're going to drive value to these items. Like it is the craziest jump of logic if you think about it, and it's like a 5-year thesis at the very least. So like you're buying this thing in the hopes that like 5 years from now there's going to be a AAA game on the level of like a World of Warcraft success or better, where people are actually valuing these items and these things are rare, and this collection is like the canonical collection for video games.
You're not left curve enough, man. You gotta
imagine though.
That's why I missed it.
Happen.
That's why I missed it.
Imagine it did happen and you don't have a divine robe. How foolish would you feel?
It's in a parallel universe somewhere out there. This is the future of finance. Future gaming.
Yeah, I miss that optimism and like hopefulness of like crypto, even though I don't know, it just gets like tiring when you see all of this over and over and over again.
But the thing is, we need a new game or a new meta or a new narrative or a new belief system to get there again. Because like just think about how the four of us are talking and analyzing these NFTs and looking at this in retrospect. Like that same playbook is certainly not going to work with us, and I don't think it's going to work with anyone else in this space that's been around. And so that's why we really do need like a new meta, a new game, a new innovation, something like
Justin,
that.
I mean, you sound like the guy entering the casino.
Yeah.
It's like the guy like, oh, like, I've already played this slot machine. I didn't win in this one. Like I need like a new fancy kind of coins falling, and like we need a new one so I can believe that I can win the jackpot.
The slot machine isn't enough because the slot machine is like clearly negative EV and most people lose and the upside isn't that great. The reason why all this stuff worked is because it seemed positive EV at the time and it seemed like everyone was winning, and like we're just never going to get there without new innovation and new tech.
That was meme coins though. Meme coins are like the meme coins just basically represent like everything you just said. I think
it was so short-lived because everyone intuitively knows most people are going to lose money on that. The upside is capped. These things don't actually do anything. Like there's no grand vision there. There was like, as silly as it was, there was a grand vision behind the loot, right? And these other NFTs, like that you were creating long-lasting IP. And it's hard to imagine we get to the next leg up in the cycle of optimism without a new thing.
I've seen some crazy threads on Twitter talking about meme coins being cult coins and they're the future of online loneliness, blah, blah, blah. And maybe just the same idea shifted to the meme coins now.
Yeah, maybe.
What do you guys think about Mother? I've seen Iggy just keeps pushing. We've talked about this coin before. Like, good for her. She is dedicated. I went to her Twitter and I didn't realize how much like she is posting constantly. She got like, her ass cheeks and on like a Bybit, like little shorts. I don't know if you can bring this up. I was like, she is dedicated to get a listing. She's I mean, I don't personally understand the brand, but
I am really surprised she stuck around.
She's one of us. She's a builder.
Yeah, I think she's going. Do you see that tweet where she said she's going insane? You guys, one day to the moon, next day it's all over.
Yeah, we shared that, I think, last week.
Yeah.
Look at this one.
I did.
Look at this. She gave them like, 1 million impressions. I just don't know who the target audience is because like if she had a cooler name for it, but Mother is like, everyone's like, my mom is lame. You got this like teenager boys trying to gamble on this. Is she tapping into like the lonely men on her OnlyFans that want the like what is exactly? I don't get it. What is the
They want a mommy. People want a mommy. That's what they want.
But it could be called mommy. Mommy would be better than Mother. She was like mommy. Right. But I'm not the target market clearly. But like who? I'm not sure. And the coin is a little bit underperforming compared to her level of, notoriety and like how much she's putting into it. You got BWF behind it, but it hasn't done that well.
It is worth $40 million. I mean, $40 million is something. Maybe she's doing
but most
something
people
there.
just trade that first parabola, and then they never touch. They delete it from their watch list and never look at it again. So you got to figure out a way to like drive that attention back, and I don't really know how you do it with meme coins.
I mean, she's getting engagement on her tweets, so there seems to be some attention, unless it's fake accounts. But by all means, like, there's attention still there. It's just it's worth 1/100th of a Pepe or something.
Still 100x potential.
Yeah, we got that.
She just doesn't have the cabal around her. That's what it is.
Maybe that's probably true.
Is it
Cool. All right,
pasta
guys,
time?
let's do some pastas. So, pasta of the week time. Let's start with Justin. Let's put you on the spot.
Perfect. This one hit close to home. I get to give a shout out to Ansem. I felt personally attacked with this one. .eth's calling the bottom on ETH BTC, and it's this a quote tweet of this tweet from some random account. Life happens. You got your picture of your girlfriend on your stomach, Carla. Shout out to her. And then, didn't work out. Got to get rid of her. But let's try it again. This is this girl is really special. She means a lot to me. Didn't work out again, and then had to get the tattoo put on the third breakup and the third rebound. So I felt this, like, how many times on this podcast have we talked about the ETH BTC bottom? How many times have I said, like, if there's any time it's bottoming, it's now? And the bottom never bottoms. So I don't know what to say.
I think you need therapy at this point.
We all need therapy.
Yeah.
Bergie, let's see what you got.
I got this old tweet from since we're talking about the NFTs. They bought 2 of these, $250,000 for the Solana Punk.
So
the
it's just
18th
a copy,
Rares. The 18th
copy pasta of a
Rares,
punk with like the Solana blue purple in the background.
The worst part is they bought 2 of these. This is the only one.
Look at the date. It's 9/11/2021. Jeez, the market timing is uncanny.
So are these guys still active? Are they still tweeting? Wow. They just invested in open social protocol.
Good for them.
Block lords.
They survived. And they got the 18th rarest punk on Solana.
The 18th rarest punk.
I mean,
we didn't see
they're
that
very
on the
skilled.
list.
They spent $500,000 on that, and they're still around. They're one of us. Props to them.
I did find it super lame that Solana was just copying the apes. They had like the Solana apes and then the Solana punks. I mean, it's just like, come up with something new. At least,
in fairness to them, though, like, do you remember there was like a 6-month period where like every day a new 10,000 PFP collection launched, and it was just like basically a copy pasta of the last one?
Yeah, and I know. Well, it was like like OpenSea kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I do remember normies that I know that are not in crypto telling me that they were staying up all night trying to get the mint of like those things back then. So it did get the attention. Like you said, it got the dopamine going back then.
Yeah. And one question, like, do you guys remember the Goblins NFT during the bear?
Where
they were just do Twitter Spaces with like the they went like 10 ETH. I was like, what?
I made an ETH off those things. I was very happy.
Oh, really? What the heck? You're better.
I think that one kind of was like collective therapy. Like they were paying to just join therapy sessions with each other.
Yeah,
that's
fun. I remember everyone was like
penny.
spreading rumors that it was like the Bored Ape team and stuff like that.
Oh yeah,
so, like,
I remember that.
Yeah, people just would like love to like speculate on like the theories of like who actually did it and all this. Yeah, it was a little cringe, but it was fun at least.
Cool. Taiki, what do you got?
Yeah, so I found this tweet, which I thought was funny, and I guess, kind of how not to write an investor update, if you can click on that. After our previous fundraising round, I suffered a wrist injury due to the extensive work on the pitch deck. This, combined with recurring back pain, severely impacted my ability to sleep and work. I restarted a disciplined regimen of yoga and other therapies to help manage the pain, but it's like this guy claims to have a wrist injury because he was like pitching too hard and now he can't work. Founders stay winning.
Oh, man.
Everyone doesn't believe it's real, and which probably makes it real.
Yeah, it says Comfy Cap says real. Gets worse, actually.
All right, so for my pasta, I was inspired by the Olympics. We had some amazing athletes, and Justin, I think this is one that if you ever dream of going to the Olympics, this might be the sport for you. I don't know if you saw this Australian break dancer. This is worse than Anthem boxing. WTF?
The thing is,
You might be able.
it's just not that complex. Like we should, we've got our Steady Lads fan base. It's only growing. We could get some sponsorships, and we could have like a Steady Lads breakdancing team at the Olympics. Like if we spent 4 years doing this instead of talking about stupid PFPs and pictures and meme coins, this could be us.
Absolutely. I see the Millie comment there. Is that Razzle Can? I mean, this is very crypto Twitter. Like we understand this. This is how we feel after,
And we have a dancer in the midst. I don't know if you know this, Jordy, but Taiki actually was a bigwig high school dancer in the K-pop space. Do we have that clip we can pull up?
Let's get the clip up. We need to see
I
this.
think your dancing was more impressive, Taiki, than anything we saw out of the break dancers. Taiki from high school or from middle school in 2011. You're in the orange here, Taiki?
Yes, that's me.
You remember the choreography? Can you do it now, Taiki?
No, I'm not gonna do it now. I actually remember like most of it. It's like muscle memory. Like I worked on this, so I worked so hard on this. I have zero shame. Like I don't give a fuck. Honestly.
Was this good for your dating career in middle school, or how did it all play out?
Well, I'm engaged now, so I'd say it turned out fine.
It prepared him well for a career as a crypto personality. Having no shame is good. Cool. All right. Well, we'll let the chat choose in the poll. We'll put up the Twitter poll as usual. Thank you, Icebergy, for joining us on another challenging week in the crypto markets, but we are optimistic. We're heading west, right? Like that's the thing. So it's not for
Crypto
everybody.
Is the final frontier.
It's for DGen. So if you're a DGen,
we're going east actually.
All right. See you guys. Take care.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.